Hello, my dear students, and welcome to our science class. Today, we're going to talk about heat. Now, you have learned that matter is made up of tiny particles. These are particles of matter, and these particles are always in motion. Now, the energy of moving particles in matter is called thermal energy. So, what is a thermal energy? What is thermal energy? It's the energy of moving particles in matter. You feel thermal energy as heat. Now, I want you to look at this picture. These are the particles of matter. As we said, they are always in motion. But are they moving at the same speed? What do you think? No, they are not moving at the same speed. This matter here is the fastest. Its particles are moving faster than these two matters. Do you know why is that? The more thermal energy an object has, the faster its particles move. So which one has more thermal energy? This one here. How did you know? Because its particles are moving faster than these two. So the more thermal energy an object has, the faster its particles move. Now I want you to look at this picture. See? This matter here has more thermal energy. That's why its particles are moving faster than this one here. This matter has less thermal energy. Okay, now what is heat? Heat is the flow of thermal energy from warmer objects to cooler objects. From warmer objects, look at this picture, from warmer objects to cooler objects. Look at this one here. These are particles of matter, of air around this flame. Thermal energy will flow, will move from warmer objects to cooler objects. See? Like this. So heat is the flow of thermal energy from warmer objects to cooler objects. Thermal energy is sometimes called heat energy. Now I want you to look at this picture. This is the experiment that we did in the lab. We have hot water and we have cold water. Thermal energy will travel from hot water, from warmer objects to cooler objects, to cold water. After a few minutes, they will have the same amount of thermal energy. They will have the same amount of thermal energy. Now, look at this picture. The thermal energy from the hot flames moves to the cooler surrounding air and to the man next to it. Again, the thermal energy from the hot flames moves to the cooler surrounding air and the man next to it. So this is the flow of thermal energy from warmer objects to cooler objects. Now what about this picture? This girl here is holding a hot cup of coffee. Thermal energy from the mug, it's the hotter object, moves to your cooler hands. It moves to your cooler hands. Now what about this one? Now you are holding ice. Ice is so cold. What will happen? How thermal energy will travel? Now, the ice melts because its particles have gained thermal energy. From where? From your warmer hands. So thermal energy travels from warmer hands to the cooler ice. Your hands will lose thermal energy. ice will gain thermal energy. That's why it's gonna melt. That's why it's gonna melt. Now, look at this picture. This hot soup will get cooler. Why? Because it's losing thermal energy. The spoon, the surrounding air, the plate that holds the soup they will gain thermal energy. So the soup is cooler and the spoon is warmer. If you held your hand over the soup, you would feel the heat. The spoon and air have gained thermal energy, so they become warmer. The soup has lost its thermal energy, so it has become cooler. This flow of thermal energy will continue until the soup, the air, and the spoon are all equally warm. Now, moving on to producing thermal energy. Producing thermal energy. Now, there are many forms of energy, right? And we have studied them before in previous lessons. You have learned about light energy, electrical energy, sound energy, and chemical energy. Each of these forms of energy can change into thermal energy. This is how thermal energy is produced. Now, electrical appliances such as electrical stoves, hair dryers, use electrical energy to produce thermal energy. Right? Now, look at this picture. This is the sun. This is the sun. It has solar energy, right? It has solar energy from nuclear fusion, right? Now, this energy arrives Earth as light and heat or thermal energy. So, we feel warm when we stand in the sunlight. That is because the sun gives off energy, that's solar energy. It becomes thermal energy and light energy. What about this picture? This boy is eating, right? This boy is eating. Your body or his body is warm because it changes the chemical energy stored in the food we eat to thermal energy. What about fire? When you burn wood to make a fire. When wood is burned, the chemical energy stored in the wood changes to thermal energy. So this is how we get or we produce thermal energy. From chemical energy to, it changes to thermal energy. From solar energy, from the sun, to thermal and light energy. Now, there is one way also to produce thermal energy that is, you can notice in this picture. Do you know what this man is doing? He's rubbing his hands, right? He's rubbing his hands against each other. What happens when you rub your hands against each other? What happens? You surely noticed that when you rub your hands together, they get warm. This happens because friction produces thermal energy. This is how people used to make fire, by friction. See, they are rubbing wood to dry leaves or another piece of wood, and they will get thermal energy. So friction produces thermal energy. We studied about friction before. What is friction? Friction is a force that occurs when one object rubs against other object. Friction slows down and stops motion between two surfaces that touch. But here I need friction to produce thermal energy. Now, the last topic that we're gonna talk about is using thermal energy. People use thermal energy for many things. People who live in cold climates use thermal energy to heat their houses. In factories, see, thermal energy is used to melt steel so that it can be shaped to build cars, refrigerators, and other useful things. So we can use thermal energy uh, to warm our houses, to warm our bodies. We can use thermal energy in factories, in useful uh, things like making cars, making refrigerators, and we can use also thermal energy to cook our food, like this delicious pizza here. Okay, five graders, that was our lesson today. I hope you enjoyed our lesson. I know I did. I'll see you next time, inshallah. Have a great time.